Okay, February the 21st, going to do a quick update on the market outlook. So let's go ahead and dive straight into it. Let's start off with the S&P. So as we talked about previously, the S&P was a bit overextended. It has now effectively traded into the bid zone, the yearly overlap. The yearly VWAP, it overlaps with this demand block. So this is the area where I expect a bid to step in on the equities index, which is going to line up really well with our overall Bitcoin plan, because the Bitcoin plan is that we are entering the next bid cycle. So the plan was, when we're trading around here, was that we would continue to build this out as a comp and oscillate around it. We've got some pretty decent oscillations. So this is the last one probably that we want to be betting on. So ideally we would get a deeper sweep. They're definitely defending a bit at the comp low, but a sweep would be the most ideal. So trade through and trade back in. That's going to be a trigger to punt benchmarks and beta for upside continuation. Quickly go over what invalidation will look like. So invalidation would look like the inability to reaccept. So if we trade down and get sluggish and we maybe start making lower highs and start to round off here, at that point, I'll be clinging to any VWAP structuring that I can, which will likely be the weekly. So I'll be using the weekly as resistance. And if we get through the weekly again, then we're probably back to being bullish again. But that will be a key thing I'm looking for is this weekly going to act as resistance and suppress price? If so, then we're probably wrong on the bull thesis and we need to be in preservation mode. As long as that doesn't happen though, as long as we don't get sluggish through here and we reaccept immediately, which I would expect is going to happen, we have pretty decent upside targets. So let's go ahead and zoom out of that really quickly and take a look. Quick TLDR is, let's let the volume profile load up. This is the void that we want to trade into. Everybody in the world is looking at this region. So realistically, I'm going to be targeting into the mid 26s, upper 27s, maybe lower 28s. That's probably the area where I'm going to be looking. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because the level's a meme, as you guys know. So that's pretty much the general thoughts. Our Bitcoin is currently in a bid zone. Ideally, it will trade lower so I can get better risk definition. I don't want to be first. I want to be late, if anything, on a trade like this, because I don't want to stomach the volatility on my altcoin positions. If I was to start positioning long now, just the sweep would be pretty substantial, drawdown to survive on alt positions, and I'm not fucking with that personally, not having that. So I'd rather be late than early here. So either it's currently bottomed and I'm going to be late to it, or it does a sweep and I get my perfect setup. Either way, I'm kind of okay with it. If the market wants to trade up, there's going to be plenty of money to be made, so we don't need to be getting the GigaChat entries. Let's do a quick rundown on altcoins really quickly. So a lot of these altcoins that I really like trading are looking really good for their, currently in bid zones. So lightly touching on it. A lot of these already had the alerts going off this morning. So Dusk is definitely one that's in a bid zone. I like Dusk. I like Sand as well. Sand looks really good, very clean. Avalanche looks really good. Sol looks really good. Sol, the only tricky thing about Sol is it has an FTA that is pretty close. So this will definitely be getting in the way. So realistically, that makes this trade not that great. It's barely a 1R trade when you consider the FTA, or 1.5R. But, I'm sure that this isn't really going to stop it, to be honest. So it's just something to pay attention to is all. A lot of these other coins are looking really good. Ocean, it doesn't have as clean of a setup. It looks pretty good, though. Matic, I like Matic, but I like it lower. Litecoin, I don't really like Litecoin so much, to be honest. Stargate, I skipped Stargate. Stargate, really like Stargate. It's technically at this first bid zone, so it might be already in play to buy. Otherwise, I'm looking to buy lower at the monthly VWAP overlapping with this volume shelf at around 95 cents. Either one of these is pretty solid plays, so this is what I'm looking for. INJ, definitely pulling up into bid zone, so if Bitcoin trades a little lower, INJ is going to be a bid. CRV looks pretty good. It's also in the same boat. Slowly everything's just bleeding off into my bid zones. This is what I want to see. Magic has been ridiculously strong. Definitely worth noting. It didn't even pull back. Similar story with FTM. FTM didn't even really pull back off this blood, so definite signs of strength from these guys. LDO is one that's on my list, but I'm not super keen to be trading it. Filecoin, it needs to come down a lot more before I want to trade it. Sushi and Link, I already kind of went over. They're both in bid zones. If I play Sushi and Link, though, I'll probably want to play these guys on spot because these are going to be much longer term plays. This isn't going to be catching an intraday pump. And that's pretty much covers it. So TLDR is we're entering, my setup is forming. It's potential. There's a potential scenario that we don't trade down. But I'm going to be patient and wait a little bit longer. As long as the S&P, the S&P starting to try to balance out a bottom here. If the S&P starts to look bottomy, crypto's definitely looking like it wants to trade up. But the one other thing to point out is that let's see what premiums look like on lower time frame. It'll look terrible. I mean, it would be nicer if these premiums were a little thicker though, for sure. But yeah, to be honest, this is looking like it's pretty bottomy. So if we get one more sell-off into it, it's a very, very obvious sign to put risk on. Otherwise, if we just bottom and sort of V up from here, then I'm going to have to take suboptimal trades because my setup didn't play out perfectly if that's the case. But it is what it is. Like I said earlier, there's going to be so much opportunity here, so it doesn't really matter if the perfect setup comes or not. If the perfect setup comes, I'm going to put big risk on, and we're going to play it. And just got to make do with what the market gives us. Thanks, guys.